Hi darlings, thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. And today I have a process video for you for the new subject to change devotional. And I'm going to be working in this Traveler's Notebook album that is from Citrus Twist. I have a flip through or a process of how I made my title page and some of the pages that are already in here. So I will link that up here in the eye if you have not checked that out. I'm going to be working on day 4 and I may do a couple of other pages depending on how long it takes me to put this together. So I'm going to put you on fast forward. I have tons of my die cuts cut out here. I have pulled some things that I know I want to use. I know I'd love to use this stamp set to create my title. I love this chromatic alpha. It's not available in ByTheWell4God, but if you have this in your stash, definitely pull it out. It's a very pretty one. So let me put you on fast forward and let's dig in. Okay, darling, so the first thing I'm going to do is pull out both pages from this album. That's one of the things that I love about this project so far, being able to pull out the pages so I can work on them. And I am journaling day 4, Just a Nobody. So I want to write the title really bold over on the right-hand side. And so I'm using the chromatic alpha to do that. I'm going to go ahead and lay that out on this long stamp block. And I am just going to ink that up with my VersaFine Black Onyx ink. That is my favorite Black Onyx ink because truly it just gets into all the grooves and it does a great impression, and I just love that it gets all the details. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that out. This alpha, I think I've said this before, is my favorite, and it is not available in the ByTheWell4God shop, but if you have this in your stash, it is one of my favorites. Don't overlook it. So I need to stamp out the O. So I grab a small block and do that. And there we go. I have my title. So I also want to put something towards the top of that. But first, I'm going to work on the left-hand side. So I pulled out the Flawed Vessels flashcard because that is one of the verses that I wanted to focus on. But I also want to pull out this fun stamp set. It comes with a little lemonade stamp. This one I believe is still available, so I'll try and link that below for you. And again, I'm going to ink that up with that black VersaFine Onyx ink, and then I'm going to use a scrap cardstock piece of paper to go ahead and stamp that down. It gets all of the details and it stamps beautifully. That's why I love this ink. The block is a little small for it, but I managed to make it work. So then I fussy cut this out, and I'm not going to make you watch me do that, but it's perfect for me to add to this page. So because I'm going to have that lemonade stamp, I know I wanted to create a faux bottom so it can stand on that. So I'm going to use some of this scrap paper that was left over from me cutting down the pattern paper into 5 inches. And I'm going to use that towards the bottom. So you see me add that towards the bottom with that mono Tombow adhesive glue, and I just rip that up, adding some texture, add some glue to the bottom, and then there we go. Now I have a base for that to stand on. So I wanted to also add the number 4 and the digitals. This is the digital add-on that you could have picked up. There are numbers 1 through 14 that are themed with lemons and all of that. So I'm going to add that over on the right-hand side with the nobody or just a nobody title as well. And then I'm going to add some scrap pieces of foam adhesive because I want that to pop off of that right-hand side. So you see me just using up whatever I have left, and that lines up perfectly there. It fits perfectly, and I just glue that 4 onto that. I was going to use a tea bag, but then I grab one of the small doilies that came with the kit, and then that looks great, so I know that's what I want to use on that side. So now heading over to the left-hand side, I decide to use one of my brown mild liners. This is one of my favorite colors in mild liners because I use it for many things. And what I do is I go ahead and color in the wood part of this lemonade stand. I'm going to be using a mixture of my mild liners and watercolors. Use what you have in your stash. That's what I did. So after I do the wood part, I grab the watercolors that came in the kit and a watercolor brush. And then I'm just coloring in with that bright yellow, the banner that's across the top, the lemonade on the table, and also the lemons and the little sign that says 25 cents on the right-hand side. So just using what I have. That bright yellow is not a color I had in my stash, so these watercolors came in as a saving grace for that. Okay, so now I want to kind of layer some things towards the top because I wanted to add just one more title. This day 4 is called Just a Nobody, and it talks about Moses and his life. And it talks about how he went from thinking he was somebody to learning that he was nobody. And then it also speaks about how God used him, even though he was a nobody. He no longer had any position in Egypt. He now was just a shepherd, shepherding his father-in-law's sheep. He became someone. God used him. And we go into speaking about 2 Corinthians 4:7, which tells us that we have but this treasure in jars of clay, fragile and human flesh, to show that the surprising power or surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. So God can use flawed vessels, just like Moses, who was seen as a murderer, as a hothead. He was used, and he can use us as well. So here you saw me layer some labels. I'm going to be using those as a basis for a second title, which is going to be God Uses Flawed Vessels. Judy talks about Moses learning that lesson when he's chosen to be the liberator of God's people in Egypt. So here I kept some of this in so you can see that even those of us that have been Bible journaling for a long time, even we have indecision. So this video was pretty long. I kind of just went over it over and over, just adding die cuts, taking stuff on, adding layers. I didn't know exactly what I wanted, but that's just part of the process, you guys. So don't get discouraged, just keep going. I finally settled for this branch with some lemons in it, and I'm gonna go ahead and glue that down. Sometimes you just have to go with what you have, even if you're not 100% sure, and go with the flow. I add some glue. I glue that down because I wanted that to be flat because I'm gonna be popping up all of my lemonade stand. So you see me glue that over on the left hand side. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take care of the lemonade stand. But first, I wanted to fill in the white space of the lemonade stand. So it looked, because there's that striped background, it kind of looked strange that the lemonade stand had that white background. And so instead of me cutting that out, I wanted to add a little bit of blue. It's going to tie in the blue from the picture on the right hand side, that lemonade picture, and also that blue from the middle label. So the blue was really, really bright. And so what I did was, I knew it would be bright, but what I'm going to do is go over it with my white Pashka paint pen. This is acrylic paint. So I'm just going to add a very thin layer of that white over the blue, and that bright blue is going to come down a lot. So how can I say that? It will come down a lot. It kind of make it more opaque, as you can see. So the blue actually matches perfectly with the picture and the label now. So now I'm using the edges. I'm going all the way around because I wanted lots of strips of this foam adhesive so I can layer behind that lemonade stand. And then I'm going to work on laying down all of my labels. If you are someone that struggles with how to use the labels that you pick up as an add-on for the kit, this is one way you can do it. I have used them for verses, for references, for date stamps, and here I am using them just as a layered feature. This is both adding colors, it's also bringing in the cohesiveness of all of the colors together. So it has a green one, it has a patterned lemon one, and also that blue one. So it helps me kind of bring in all the colors that are on the page, but also create a resting place for me to place my second title. Now I'm going to add another die cut up at the top. This is just going to fill in that white space. And also I wanted that rule of 3, so it will be the third die cut on this page, just like I have the 3 labels. That's just something I like to do. It's something that stuck to my mind. And now I'm going to take off all of the backing of all of the strips of adhesive. I wasn't going to make you watch that, but I just filled in all the little corners of this lemonade stand with foam adhesive. That way it could pop off the page. And you guys, I love how that lemonade stand came out. It's so cute. Okay, now on to my title. I went through the clear stickers that were coordinating for this month, and I couldn't find a brown that I wanted. So what I did was I went through my stash and pulled out an older clear sticker sheet, and it was the perfect brown to match with the lemonade stand and that bottom foundation strip of pattern paper. And so I am super fast forwarding this, and what I end up using this for is writing the words, "God uses flawed vessels." And I did run out of S's, but that's okay. I just went into my stash again and pulled out another S. It wasn't the exact same color, but that's okay. It's pretty close, and we are not going for perfection, but just getting this lesson down. I then realized that I actually never glued down the pieces on the top right-hand corner, so I'm going to take care of that now. I'm just going to add glue to the center. That way it creates like a movable piece, so it's not completely adhered down. Then I'm going to pull off all the backing off of the back of this lemonade pitcher and the number 4, and I'll glue that right on top of there. So because I wrote the title instead of using the flashcard, I thought it would be perfect just to cut out the verse that I was focusing on for this page. And I didn't want it to get lost here. So what I did was I pulled out some blue paper from my stash, and I'm going to back it on there, leaving a small border, and that's going to help it pop off so it doesn't get lost here on this page. After matting down this verse reference, I was a little undecided about where I was going to place it, and ultimately decided to put it on the lemonade stand, and it would layer a little bit over on those lemon die cuts. But because the lemonade stand is actually popped up, I was going to have to use half foam adhesive and half glue in order to make it stable on the page. So I add a little bit of foam adhesive over the lemon side that's going to be layered, and then a little bit of regular liquid adhesive to go over the lemonade stand, and that worked perfectly. That is it, darlings. That took a little bit, but I love the turnout. It actually went completely different than what I originally had in mind. It actually looks so much better, so I am loving day 4. So I'm just going to pull over my Life Crafted album, and I'm going to pop this right in here. And this is just going to be the perfect little placement. So I wanted to point out the edge of this right here. As you see, it has a nice scalloped little finish. And that is because I use this We Are Memories Keeper edge punch. I really, really love these. It's a neat way to kind of bring a elevated look to the edges of your paper. And so I've had this for some time, and I like using it in vintagey projects, but I think it looks beautiful in this project as well. I love how everything turned out, and I am going to most likely be doing day 5 in a page protector. This page took longer than I imagined, so I think I'm going to leave page 5 and do that off camera. So this video isn't too long, but here is day 4. I hope you guys enjoyed this process video. If you have any questions, leave them below. If you are new here, I hope you consider subscribing, hit the like buttons and the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you so much for joining me each and every video, darlings. God bless. Bye.